Today I'm going to teach you how to refill your Nespresso Vertuoline capsules so you don't have to always continuously buy the new capsules. First, you're going to take an empty capsule. I've emptied this one by cutting off the tin foil. Did an okay job of it. You don't have to be perfect. And then cleaning it out with some soap and water in the sink. You can see the barcode is still there. It's nice and clean. That's going to be sufficient for our use. Then we have a shot glass. I've taken the Starbucks typical shot glass because it works perfectly for this application. The Vertuoline capsule fits perfectly inside this Starbucks. Last, we need Glad press and seal. The press and seal is what we're going to use in place of the tin foil to seal the coffee inside of the capsule. Also, don't forget that you're going to need a scissor because we're going to be cutting down that press and seal to fit on top of the capsule. That capsule will sit inside the shot glass, and I'll use the scissor to cut it. Last but not least, don't forget that you're going to need coffee. We've got some espresso ground coffee here. This tends to work fairly well because the grind is fine, but I've used everything from rough ground, Seattle's Best, to really fine ground, Lavazza. So either one are going to work fine as long as you pack it sufficiently. We're going to take our shot glass, we're going to set it down, and we're going to put that little Vertuoline capsule directly inside of the shot glass. You can see that this capsule fits directly into the shot glass perfectly. The rim supports it. It's going to be a little bit of moving around, but that's not going to matter. We're just using this as a stable base. Now we're going to take a small spoonful of coffee, and very gently we're going to start dropping it into the capsule. Try not to get too much on the edges. It's not a big deal if you do, but if you get a lot on the edges, it's more to clean off. And we're just going to start filling the capsule. Just little bit by little bit, we're putting the coffee in. Just little spoonfuls. And then I'm going to take the capsule back out of the shot glass after I've filled it up to the brim with loose ground coffee. And you can see why I'm going to do this. I'm going to take the bottom of the shot glass, which fits directly in the capsule, and then I'm going to use it to compact it down. Now I'm just going to use finger pressure in the weight of the glass. I'm not going to actually press down hard, but you want to be able to compact it a little bit, A, so you can fit enough coffee in there to get a good brew, and B, so that the system works the way it's designed. I'm going to start filling up the capsule a little bit further. You want to get kind of just below that ridge where the aluminum foil was attached. There's a little lip on the edge of the capsule, and that's where you're going to want to actually get the coffee up to. Once you filled it up, you're going to compact it one more time. And then what I usually do is just kind of hold it over the sink and then blow off, or take a little brush and brush off any of that coffee that got on the rim. You really want that rim to be pretty clean for the next application of the seal before it goes into the machine. Now I've put it back into the holder, the little Starbucks glass, and then I'm getting a piece of press and seal wrap. The press and seal works perfectly because it's inexpensive, it's easy to work with, and it forms a no-fuss seal that allows the barcode to still show through. So the machine will still be able to read this barcode with this press and seal. I've just cut a small strip of press and seal, and I'm going to cut it so it's about a 2-inch by 2-inch, 3-inch by 3-inch square. Once I've cut it, you're going to see that I have almost just a perfect square of press and seal. It doesn't have to be round, it doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to be able to fit over top of the cup. Now we're going to start by centering this over top of the press and seal cup. And it's going to lay directly over top. You can see how it's centered there. And then I'm just going to take and start pressing down right on that raised lip. And the press and seal does the rest for you. It sticks on top. You can kind of use the palm of your hand to get it stuck on directly. And then just start kind of working around with your fingers around the edges. So that way it grasps onto the edge of the lip. See, it's just sticking directly on. And I'm just kind of taking my fingers and running it along and making it adhere. Now you're going to see some of that rough edges of the press and seal. You're just going to use kind of a pinching motion to pinch that up underneath. And you can see, I'll turn this pod over a little bit, and you can see that the barcode is still visible through the press and seal. It doesn't have to be perfect. I think the barcode somewhat repeats, but you can see the barcode underneath there. It's visible through the press and seal. It's not perfect, but it doesn't matter. It just has to be enough so the machine can read it. And then just kind of make sure that it's all fits. Make sure it's nice and tight. And you have a good seal all the way around. Now you'll obviously get faster as you practice this, and you can make a whole bunch of these at once, but I'm just doing a one-off so you can kind of see how easy it is. This is costing about 8 cents for a pot of coffee, as opposed to the 65 cents to $1.10 that you usually would pay for a pod, plus you reduce the recycling costs. Now we'll throw it in the machine, and once we close that machine, those prongs inside of the top of the machine are going to pierce that press and seal, and it's going to work just the same as a normal Nespresso Vertuoline capsule. And I'll show you as soon as the brew is finished what it looks like. Now your brew is going to change a little bit depending on the grind of the coffee. This is a pretty fine ground espresso roast, but it's going to have that same crema, that same thick foam on top. I tend to just have mine black with a little bit of sugar. And we'll just let the machine warm up. It takes about 15 seconds. We've got our coffee mug in there all ready to go. And then we'll let the machine do its thing, and you'll be able to see the coffee comes out just normal, just like it was a normal Vertuoline pod. The only difference is we used our own coffee, one that we prefer, and we didn't spend $1.10 for this one single pod. Now keep in mind, this pod, I've reused this pod about 10 times now. They get a little dented now and then, just kind of from being tossed around, but that's not a big deal. As long as there's no holes in the pods, you can keep using them. And what my wife and I do is we use the blue and the green generally for 2 different types of coffee that we prefer. So that way we've got kind of a setup of coffee that we like. Now you can see the machine starting to perform. It's pouring out the coffee just as any normal Vertuoline pod. It's just pierced through that wrap that we used, that Glad cling wrap, or I'm sorry, the press and seal wrap. And it's spinning that capsule in there and infusing the water through there and coming out with this perfect coffee. And you can see the crema right on top. It's still foamy. It still makes it plenty hot. And we're able to just, once you've done this one time, taking that press and seal off the capsule and getting the coffee out and reusing it is much easier. The first time when you have to cut the tin foil off, it's not difficult. You just have to take a knife and go around the edge, and then it kind of peels off, but you're going to have some jagged edges, and you're going to have to kind of pick at it a little bit. You might even have to use a tweezer if you get a piece that you can't really grab with your fingers. But like I said, it's not a big deal. You can just continue to work with it. But with this press and seal, it's really easy. You just let the canister go into the pod dump, and you can pull it out, or usually I'll just grab it out of the machine before letting it go into the refuse canister. That way I don't have to dig into it with my fingers. I'll demonstrate that here in a second after this coffee is finished brewing. All right, the cycle is complete. I'll take the coffee off the machine, and you can see it's got a great crema foam. It works just fine. It tastes great. Actually, I like it a little bit better than the espresso roast that they have. And then I'm just going to reach in here and grab the canister. It's a little bit hot because it just had hot water infusing through it. But you can see where the machine has pierced through the press and seal, and it's worked just fine. I'll just put it back in my little shot glass holder, and you can see directly where we had the espresso. Well, everybody, I hope this video was helpful. Thank you for watching.